had been another home, they would probably have put him down.
We got one upstairs that doesn't like people, and
He lived to be 23, the crazy fucker.
that's a long time.
Yeah, he was feisty till the end. I was glad to have him, but I don't want another one.
She just needs a little attention.
All the time, every day.
Nah, she's not that bad. Just right now, she's feeling needy, apparently. She's been returned twice. I think she's too loud for the people's living arrangements. So they go, you got to come get this dog.
You have to come get this dog. They don't come and return it.
Some do, but most people that get to that point are generally not that courteous.
Why are they like pissed that they got a broken dog or whatever?
A bum dog. That's what we call them. Well, you can only check the people out so much before you approve an adoption. We go to their home, look at the environment, look what the situation's going to be, and stalk them on Facebook and check, their vet, things like that, and, do what we can, with due diligence, but you can't know for certain that they're going to be responsible or that it's going to stick or what's going to come of it.
Yeah, I know. I stalk the buyers.
You have to. I mean, it's on you to make sure that they're going to a good home, and that's a good way to get some insight.
I remember there was this one lady who called me at, I think it was like 5 a.m. And I answered the phone because I was curious who the fuck it was. And then I don't remember everything she said, but she talked a lot, and she talked about she got moved to a home and she had to get rid of her cats. But now she had decided that she wanted a cat again. And she was not going to let them stop her this time. Probably the carers or something. And I did not have to worry. She knew she was old, but the day she died, she would have the cat put down and buried on her arm.
Yeah. That's always sad.
She wasn't quite healthy.
The woman or the cat?
The woman who didn't get the cat, obviously. Oh, and I asked her what happened to her previous cats. Oh, no, they were put down the day she got moved to the home.
It's a bit extreme.
Yeah, she didn't seem quite normal.
I'll tell you, the worst part about animal rescue is the people. For whatever reason, crazy people tend to gravitate towards this endeavor.
To get the dog or doing the...
Well, both. People that are adopting and people that want to foster, people that want to volunteer. There's a pretty good percentage of them that have some kind of problem. They're manic depressive, or they're just off in some way or another. And mean. Oftentimes they're mean.
Mean? In what way?
Well, there's a tendency for some of the people that get involved to take personal beefs and every rescue we've worked with has been attacked by some former board member or some former volunteer or someone who's taken it upon themselves to go after people that do things in a way they don't approve of. whether it's using negative reinforcement training methods or prong collars or whatever it is they have a problem with, and then they'll paint the people as evil and attack them on Facebook. And we got attacked about 3-4 years ago by some people that went to a local blogger, and he published all kinds of nonsense about us, laughably false stuff. But the first time you're attacked, you don't know what to expect, and they're saying nasty stuff about your wife, and it makes a whole mess of things. But now we're rather seasoned and understand how that stuff works. It's ignorant. It's the most ridiculous stuff. You'd think we were politicians or something.
It's the same thing within the purebred community too. You have crazy buyers you have said no to. They can be a bit insane.
Yep.
And then you have the competition and jealousy.
So you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And gossip and rumors and all kinds of weird shit. Like,
yeah, this guy was saying stuff like he in one of his articles he said that him and a news crew came to our house at the address listed on our nonprofit, our IRS paperwork, and they said that they were knocking on the door and they heard us running around the house turning off lights and heard the dog barking. And we're sitting here reading this going, the address on file with the IRS, you mean Post Office Box 6655?
yeah.
Just nonsense. Tabloid nonsense.
I had one woman call me a couple of months ago. I don't know who she was, but I got a clear message to shut the fuck up about the things I was saying about her. Like a long list of unethical crap about her cattery or whatever. And she was so angry that she did not listen to me at all. Like, there was no communication, just blah for 20 minutes. And when she stopped yelling, I asked her, "What's your name? Who are you?" And it just went quiet. And I just said, "I don't even know who you are. What? Call back if you want to explain this." And I hung up. Never found out who it was.
I guess it's like that everywhere then.
Yep. People with animals are crazy. That's why they call them crazy cat ladies or whatever.
Yeah.
Except I haven't done any of that shit myself, but I see it all around me.
A good third of the people are probably crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then a third of them get into it with good intentions and get overwhelmed and wind up kind of bailing and getting a bad taste in their mouth about it. And that's before you get into stuff like the abuse cases and whatnot, which most people just can't handle emotionally. We got called by the shelter, I think it was maybe a month and a half ago. They'd been called about a Rottweiler who was laying in somebody's yard in an abandoned home. And he was fully grown, but he weighed 30 pounds. And I had to carry him out of the shelter, and it was literally like a skeleton, like you see at like a medical school where they've got the bones wired together. So their bones are connected, but there's no tissue. And that's what he felt like when I was carrying him, and he died that night. Nobody held accountable for it because nobody knows what happened. And sometimes somebody will like drag a dog behind a car for several kilometers or pour burning oil on them or gouge their eyes out. Just evil shit.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Oh, and you probably also have the ones who never rehome the dogs. They start taking a dog, taking another one, And there are breeders who do that too. They decide to breed cats and dogs, and they're not able to sell anything.
Yeah, we have a big problem with what we call puppy mills over here. There's one woman, I'm not going to say she's crazy, but she's extreme. She'll hire, I don't know exactly how this works, but there's like small municipal airports, and she'll hire a pilot to fly her around looking for puppy mills. And when she finds them, she'll go in like she's going to buy, and she takes a camera in, and like a sting operation, a one woman sting operation. She's scary. I mean, she's not playing around.
But to take out the puppy mills?
Yeah, shut them down because the conditions are deplorable.
Yeah, I've seen documentaries, but we don't have that over here at all.
Good for you guys.
But it's also illegal to sell cat and dogs in pet stores.
That's something that is. I mean, it's legal to sell them, but there's a pressure building to have pet stores only be able to sell rescue animals to kind of discourage the supply side of the equation.
Yeah, that would be a move in the right direction at least.
The big problem over here is not even, I don't even think it's breeding so much as just uncontrolled reproduction. People not spaying and neutering them. Like we won't adopt out an animal that can reproduce. We run a pet food bank for people who are low in or no income and have trouble feeding their animals, and we'll give them free food, but they have to have their animals spay or neutered.
Yeah, so you're not feeding a litter or whatever.
Yeah, or the litter is not winding up in the shelter, and a lot of these people that we give the food to eventually would probably surrender their animals because they can't feed them, and that's another cage that's got a dog in it or a cat in it that's will probably wind up being put down.
Yeah. Here it's moving in the right direction, because now I see crazy women complaining that house cats will be extinct because people are neutering and spaying them. That's of course all bullshit. As long as there are cats, there will be kittens.
Yeah, that's an unfounded concern.
Yeah, and I've seen that several times now the last couple of years, because people are, well, there's not that much kittens anymore. Of course, around summer there's a shit ton, but not like it was like 5 years ago.
So you guys have been making progress.
Yes, people are spaying and neutering their cats at least, but not their dogs. But like dogs in the streets, it's not even a thing. But it's too cold here anyway.
That's good to hear.
I was in Spain a few years ago. Dogs everywhere.
I've heard that it's like that in Turkey.
I've been in Turkey too, but not where I was. Like when the economy crashed in Spain, people just let their horses loose. So horses running everywhere was a thing. It's not funny, it's really sad because they starved to death and shit. But yeah, people not taking care of their animals.
Horses.
Of all things.
I'm guessing that guy's not had a pretty good first experience if they're going off on him in there. I mean, I heard him last night, and he was monopolizing the discussion and talking about himself the whole time and cutting people off when they would talk. Not being a mean. He was just incredibly. He was like somebody that had a lot of stuff welled up and just wanted to talk. And I got to talk. And now I got people listening to me, and it's like an avalanche.
Listen to me.
Yeah. Usually I'll just stay quiet and listen until somebody asks me a question or it's a very interesting discussion that I can contribute to.
He's getting on my nerves.
That crazy guy wore me out the other night. Was his name Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was bad. There was not even content to it.
No.
Just words used wrongly.
Was that recorded?
I think it was, but I don't need to see it. I've seen the guy before. I've had my share of that guy.
Yeah, Chloe jerked me into that one.
Yeah. She must be your number one fan, girls, or something.
Mine?
Yeah. She was like, woohoo, logic shit. You know.
I think she was enjoying it. I was feeling sad for the guy.
Why?
I'd hate to be like that.
Yeah. Of course it's sad, but we shouldn't have to put up with it still.
That's a different issue. And I don't think there was really any helping him.
Nope. But he is like proper mentally ill. He has been in hospitals and stuff for that. No, he doesn't realize anything, Neptune. That's the thing. He doesn't understand words. And I'm not saying anything I couldn't have said straight to his face. Which we kind of did too.
He was like Teflon. I don't think that being mean to him really could have had much of an impact, really.
No, he can't. He just keeps going. What's going on in the other room, Zach? Not much. What does that mean? How hard it is to be NTP. That's new. Or is it the INTP running the conversation on it? Why are you failing, Neptune? Why are you failing? and everyone's decided to be introverts. Yeah, you hear me, but you're not talking. What? Oh, I'll refresh them. Neptune, say something. Now I hear you. What did I not hear? Okay. Do you feel that those people are your kind? Yeah, it's like the INTP group. It seems like everyone is ready to start cutting. Mean version. Oh, yeah.
Caricatures. Yeah, I have the INTJ version of that bothers me.
What is that? Like, I don't really know what the caricature is. Okay.
You don't know what a caricature is, or the caricature of the INTPs?
INTPs, I know, but INTJs, not
Oh.
really.
You know, my emotions don't have control. I'm a robot. I'm, you know, just taking that kind of nonsense and running with it to the extreme. And
Okay, so
I'm
lack of FE is robot.
well, they don't even seem to take it to that level. It's just like they have an idea of what an INTJ is, and that's what they want to be, and so they take those ideas and act like they don't have emotions at all. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you, a sociopath? And then they'll like take the sociopath thing and say, yeah, basically. And I'm like, come on.
I thought that was ENTP.
I don't know much about. I basically know the INTJs, a little bit about ISFJs because my wife's one, and I have some INTP friends, so I'm kind of familiar with that. But once you get out of those three, the rest of them I'm not terribly familiar with yet.
But it's like you're FE polar, right? And they are FI polar. Like not in touch with their feelings.
And I'm very in touch with mine, but I'm also almost 40 and I'm an artist. So I spend a lot of time in that zone, and I've probably just developed it more than others, but they fetishize not being emotional, and that irritates me.
I know what you mean, but you're not the most expressive person when you talk.
No.
And that's the thing they're going with, or something, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
But that has nothing to do with FI.
I think they just want to belong.
Yeah. But that's a weird way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, of anything you'd want to pick this. But then look at the words, like mastermind. Like I said in a group a while back, if you're creating a character in a game and you have to choose between like campaigner or mastermind, well, God, I want to be the mastermind. That's the character for me.
Does a lot of people mistype as INTJ?
I don't even know if they've typed themselves. I think they've just adopted the moniker as what they want to be. Kind of like goth kids adopt a look that's maybe a little intimidating or different without really knowing what it is.
Just like, this looks cool. This is me. I think.
Yeah, I want to be that.
What's going on in here?
We're talking about stereotypes of types.
That
And
sounds
how-
more fun than the other room. Yeah. Please.
Oh, yeah. Audra, what's the stereotype of an ENTP? You're lagging out.
Stereotype. It's kind of like the brilliant slacker, or like there's two different versions. It's either kind of the do nothing, you're brilliant, but you'll never actually make anything happen, or like the Rick Sanchez, you'll just experimentally blow up the world or something. I don't know. Jack of all trades, I guess.
How about the narcissism? That part of it.
No, I thought that was just real.
See? That's polar FI, not polar FE.
What is the stereotype of ENTPs? I want to know what you say.
What?
Give me your versions. Give me your versions of the stereotype of ENTPs.
Of ENTPs?
Yeah.
Confident fuckers who can get away with anything, but not really doing much productive.
But we don't deserve to.
But people still like you. Likeable,
Everybody-
narcissistic fuckers.
Yeah, we're everybody's favorite asshole. I read something that said we can fix your psychological problems and fix your fear. So we're handy dandy. Probably your car.
And INTPs, we have every condition there is, and we're on every drug there is. And
Basically,
No.
Josh.
yeah, but Josh is more than that, I think.
Okay.
And we are so unaware of everything. It's kind of smart, and people don't listen to us. And that's true. Sometimes.
The people should listen to you, but they don't. And the NTPs, they shouldn't always listen to us. It's like a balanced out. It's like the amount of percentage of what the percentage you should listen to an ENTP versus INTP. If you listen to the INTP more, it's
But they won't.
percentage of actually getting listened to the reverse of that. So.
And if someone actually takes the advice later on, they don't want to admit it.
Yeah, they're not going to admit it.
Mm. This is not stereotype. This is just true.
This is the truth. I think that's true for and INTJs are like over the world.
Yeah, ENTPs have good ideas too, but they throw more of them out there. We throw out
Well-
less, but perhaps perhaps a bit more precision.
If you want to go with like we would take over the world, but we won't be bothered. It's like we've had the thought it through, but then we're like, yeah.
Oh yeah, another stereotype. We are lazy, and we are dirty, and we are messy. And we smell like shit. That's INTP.
Yeah. I think ENTPs might wash, but still not a lot.
Not when they're monologuing. That's so true, because
That is pretty true. We're either actually carried and having we're excited to share it, or we're just self-talk. But we hate guidelines. Guidelines are the worst.
and schedules.
You have to be very sneaky with your guidelines, and you have to know that they're not. Why do we need them?
So, what's worse, being a robot with no feelings or a dirty, stinky fucker?
A robot with no feelings.
Exactly. So we have INTP's horrible stereotype. We're lazy and useless, and need someone to hold us in the hand to get something done.
So what is it that INTPs are like the coldest humans, and INTPs are the warmest machines?
Yeah, I've seen it stated that way.
I've heard that one. While ENTPs are over here, we look more.
Both INTP, ENTP, and INTJs are supposedly cold people, but that's not true at all.
No, I'm far from cold.
Yeah, I think of the three. I think you guys are actually more like.
You were cutting out there, Audra.
Oh yeah, I was just. I think it's interesting that out of I don't think anybody ever guesses. I think a lot of people.
Your audio is crap. It's difficult to hear what you're saying. Do you sit far from the microphone or something? Okay, she's refreshing. Blah blah.
Turn it back. Do I sound better?
Is it you that have echo?
Sounds like a feedback.
Yeah.
I know it's me. I don't know. Was it echoing earlier?
Okay, I hear you now. What was the last thing you said before you started refreshing and stuff?
I don't remember. That people usually underestimate the ability of ENTPs to be cool at first glance. I think other ENTs get it. People in general. I like it when people argue with me that I'm, warmer than I'm being. I think I look colder, probably more probably not. But when I look warm, I'm probably actually cold. I don't know. It's always an interesting people. You're like, but you're so empathetic. I just know what you want to hear. Okay, you guys talk.
We're trying to hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes, 1, 2, 3. I'm still echoing on somebody.
Say something, Audra.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Went away.
I'm muting the blankie. Try muting the blankie and see what happens.
I muted the blankie.
Don't know if it made a difference.
What's one of those things that maybe go ahead? 1, 2, 3, 4. Did it go away now?
No, it's still there.
No. Went away on mine. Can't hear it. Zach, it's you. It seems.
I blah, blah. Do you know what does that, Jeremy?
Do I know what?
What kind of thing would cause that audio problem?
Well, it sounds to me like her microphone's picking up the speakers. And then on top of that, it almost sounds like the.
It's happening when I'm muted. It's happening again. I think it's Zach. It went away. Try muting Zach. He's not talking anyway. Just chatting over there. Your fault. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Zach. Shame on you. Not really.
So long as it's fixed.
Okay, I'm gonna quit talking. No. I didn't do like
Okay.
all the debating gave me lots of feeling.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Ill
You're talking about-
stereotypes.
Stereotypes, yes.
Coldest humans, warmest machines.
Coldest humans, warmest machines. But what does that mean? Oh, we have softer exterior, colder insides or something.
I get accused of having a hard, cold exterior. Maybe accused is the wrong way to put it, but I am very emotional, but it's really kept in check by habit. It's not even like something I have to put any effort into. It's like the same reason I'm not constantly cussing. I don't really have to stop and censor myself. I just don't do it. But from time to time, I can get mouthy, and I can get emotional and animated and flamboyant from time to time. But generally speaking, it's not something that's roused in me.
Yeah, but like Audra said, people assume she's more emotional than she is. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and I guess
it's interesting. Yeah. Go ahead.
no, it's like that's like FE users or something. The caring about the environment more than perhaps about own feelings or something. So we look softer, but are maybe less emotional than like a feeler. So people make assumptions that there are feelings which not necessarily are there.
Yeah, well, it's interesting the way you're talking about, with because you have FI over FE. I'm sorry, I forgot you. But, yeah, you can go wrong. And you're talking about like when you actually are getting, when you talk about getting animated, is like that's really cool. You actually feel something. I almost feel like it's. I can be all animated, but when I get really serious about something, I think I get less.
Can you hear what she's saying?
No, it sounds like she's got like an automated volume control activated on her machine, where it's controlling the volume automatically.
So like the microphone is picking up the speakers and she's leaving before she hears anything.
Yeah, it's like it's attenuating the volume a second or two after she begins speaking.
Yeah.
If computers didn't do weird things, I wouldn't have a job. Is that better?
That is better.
Maybe.
Okay, and it was a setting that was set to a different. Even though there's only one internal mic, it was set on a different setting than it usually is.
Oh, it's perfect now.
No telling. Well, I know that that's a setting that has to be in one particular position now.
Okay, but FE, what were you saying about that? FE users.
I was saying that the way INTJ talked about it is that, it sounded like you were associating, genuine emotion with animation and that sort of thing. And I really wouldn't necessarily.
No, but people do that.
I think that's what people are looking for. I mean, I could be just welling up and losing it inside, but look and sound exactly like this. And you wouldn't know. You couldn't read it because I'm not presenting any data to that effect. But sometimes if I'm really excited or into a subject, or maybe have some alcohol, or if I'm in a discussion with somebody and what would be a good example? Well, I had to deal with a lady. We were talking about animals earlier. I was at a pet store where we have our cats. They're in a habitat where people can see them and apply for them. And there was a lady there, crazy, but she'd apparently had a traumatic brain injury or something. It was a hardware problem in her case. But she was going off on one of the employees because she wanted to buy a cat right then. And there are cats, and I was there cleaning the habitats, and I was overhearing what was going on. And I had to step up and kind of get in between her and the employee who had nothing to do with the cats, and stare her down and be very firm and very it was like the guy in the room where he was all over the place, and it's like you're trying to herd cats and keep them in the corral, and basically all you're trying to say is it doesn't work that way. You don't just sell cats to people, and we're not selling cats. And she just kept going all over the place, and I had to be very stern and assertive with her. And at that point, it wasn't a performance. I mean, I was getting aggravated and frustrated. And then there's this girl there, probably 17, was initially getting it, and that was aggravating me. So it at that point did start to show in my behavior and in my speech. But most of the time, even with some of the horrible stuff that we see in rescue, I'm very level and very cold, as they're saying.
No, you're not.
I've had a little alcohol tonight. I'm under the influence.
So that's the excuse for smiling.
It's not an excuse, it's a circumstance. No, I smile all the time. I like to smile, I like to laugh, and I always have. That's not something that has developed over time. But when I was younger, I would laugh at things that were not socially appropriate, or I would think of something and just laugh, or remember a scene in a movie and just laugh, and would kind of be not so much picked on, but you can tell when the other students are, what's wrong with him? Yeah, and so in that case, I did learn to just kind of keep it in check and not be so reflexive with humor. But usually I don't have an impulse to be expressive. And that has softened as I've gotten older. I guess the FI has developed or whatever a bit, so it's not as automatically repressed. I don't even know if that's the right way to put it.
No, I know what you mean, because I was the weird kid too, just laughing randomly.
So, I still do that. I do that more than I used to, because I just I do that. I should just roll.
I suppress the shit out of everything.
Like deliberately?
Yeah. It was easier that way.
I rarely have to do it consciously or deliberately. Really, it's when my boss is pissing me off, because he's very gruff, and I kind of it's one of those things where I'll say something and he'll kind of blow off what I'm saying, like, "Hey, we got a problem with our phone system." No, we don't. And rather than like fight him over it, I'm like, okay, I'll let the world burn. You'll learn one way or the other. I've told you, I'm not going to get into some kind of spat over this.
I know that feeling.
And then every so often, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, every so often he does push me to the point. I'm like, you know what? Okay, here we go. And he can't get in at that point because he'll try and ramp it up, and I'll ramp it up right with him. And if he wants to talk over me, I'll talk over him. I can do it, but it's not something that's really in my nature. Your turn.
I was going to say, like, so when you're in a, like a conversation with, say, a boss or a person, you can't actually, like, go to town with and argue, right? But they're kind of annoying you. Like, do you get serious? Or, like, because I just kind of I get this, like, shit-eating grin and just kind of, like, super charming in those sorts of situations, and that's when you should run away. But what's you guys' reaction to that sort of situation?
Well, it obviously you have to exercise good judgment when you're a subordinate, and they pay your bills, basically. But I've also learned that my particular boss, and it's always over the phone because he's in Arizona and I'm in Kentucky, so there's no face-to-face. It's always over the phone. But I've learned that I can push back, as long as I'm not getting petty or personal with him, that I can push back about as hard as I want to and not suffer any consequences for it, as long as I'm on the level and not getting stupid with him. And that's not something that's in my nature, so it's not something that I have to struggle with. But it's still intimidating because you never know when somebody's just going to hit a tipping point and go sideways. And, okay, you're fired. You never know when that moment might occur, so you're blind, flying blind when, or at least for me, when I decide, okay, I'm not going to be pushed around, I'm going to push back. And I get off on it a little bit when I'm in the zone, but if I'm not in the zone, I don't like it, and I don't want to go there. I don't want to be like that.
Maybe that's an introvert thing.
Yeah, that's what I was curious. Is I had a in my head theory that introverts are more likely to respond to.
Like in the workplace, I'm very compliant until I've had enough.
I'm pretty compliant.
Yeah, I imagine just introvert more is just kind of like, okay, not like not really.
And that thing where people don't. I'm sorry.
In some way, I don't know. Just kind of trying to get out of ending the conversation as soon as possible.
That I can relate to.
That's what I see introverts. That's what I assume they would do. Okay, if they're gonna do something, they're gonna do something, and if they're not gonna do something, they're gonna like end it as soon as possible and go back to the school.
Yeah, or see the world burn.
Well, yeah. Watching the world.
To listen, okay.
You just don't ever want them to assume that it was you that was letting the world burn, right?
Well,
hey, if you
person, they're so
you
happy.
tell them and they blow it off. That's hey. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Get in my car and drive down there and slap him?
Yeah. I actually get in trouble sometimes because I can I guess I seem like I'm interested when people are talking to me, and I end up being like everybody's therapist. Like, I really don't care to hear you talk about this thing, but anyway, and I'll talk to you for like 15 minutes, and trying to keep smiling. And at that point, smile begins to be painful. And you're like, all right, I can't do this so much longer. You're fading. Please go away.
I'll tell you what I hate.
Neutral, cold, no face.
I hate when we'll be at the end of it's technical, so we'll be dealing with a technical issue and we'll be done with it, and for some stupid reason that I to this day cannot figure out why I'll do this, I'll throw out, oh, by the way, this or that, and then 10 minutes later I'm like, why didn't I keep my mouth shut? Because now I've just revved up a 2-hour discussion about something that is unimportant. And
I do that sometimes.
I keep doing it. You think I'd
But
learn?
I don't mind actual, like, technical or important conversation. When I'm holding people's hands, I'm like, okay, I can win. And it's usually, what's weird is when it's like superiors, more or less. You're like, I get this in my job, like, people who are, like in admin or directors or faculty, people are all supposed to be above my job, right? And they come to me to, like, hold their hand. Really?
Well, I've developed enough respect and an authority to when I'm saying something, for the most part, I'm heard and it's heated, but not always. With clients, I tend to be very, how would I put this?
Strictly to the SLA.
No, me more in how the way that I speak to them. I don't give them any toehold for insecurity. Even if I really don't know what's going on, I have to sit on Google for half an hour to figure it out. I've learned how to address a subject with a client, and the clients are rarely more adept at the subject than I am. So I've kind of learned how to speak with a tone that puts them at ease, makes them confident that yes, they will. They got this. They're on top of this, and so they don't have to kind of pester and stay on top of us. That they'll trust after the phone call that yes, they will get this fixed or addressed or whatever the case is. Even if at the time I really don't know what the heck I'm going to do. I don't know anything about this, but
that's a tactic as a part of the job, because I've had similar jobs, and that's the most efficient way. Just make them believe you know everything, and
That's
then
just like-
stop calling.
or maybe not even
Yeah, I
everything, but if I'll cede to them that I don't know this, then when I say that I do know something, oh, okay, well, he is very open about what his limits are and what he doesn't know. So when he asserts that he does know something, and I usually will when I assert it, at least enough to know what I need to go figure out, because nobody knows everything about this stuff, and it's always changing. That saves me a lot of hassle with them later on. But the best is when they call in, and this happens all the time, especially with specific clients. No matter what the problem is, they push it off on us first. There's something wrong with your server. And even though, like, 9 times out of 10, when this has happened, it always turns out to be their code or something they went and changed, they still default to the it's you guys position. So at this point, I'll even say something snide like, well, you say that all the time. And how often does it turn out to actually be us? Because they know the history. I mean, unless they have serious memory problems, they really don't have a leg to stand on once you've cried wolf 2 or 3 dozen times.
Oh,
And
I
you get
said
it.
shit like, do you want to argue, or do you want a solution?
I've said that once or twice, but not often.
But yeah, that's like something to shut them up.
But it's a job.
I don't like having to talk people through solutions. I like being able to, if I'm going to be like support Nancy, I like to be able to go to their office and wave my fingers at their computer, and then they go, how did you magically fix that? And then I walk away. I'm like, I don't have to explain. And half the time, like, I literally don't do anything. Like, that's what's always fun is you go in and you just like turn their computer on. There's no problems. They had like an imaginary problem. You just go out and you're like, okay.
My
I
least
played weird that you don't understand that you didn't have a problem. But anyway, it's fixed now.
I think my least favorite thing of anything that comes up is when somebody calls in who's not technical and they want me to help them set up their mail client.
Yeah.
Like over the phone. Oh. I hate that one.
Well, the last job I had, we just remoted and did everything for them. That was easy.
In my job right now, I have to pretty much tell them how to do almost everything. Like, it's higher level stuff, so I don't have to like turn their computer off and turn it on again type shit. But it's all technically sorted. They're supposed to know it, so I can't do it for them. I have to always walk through it. But I put a big smile on my face. Act like double clicking the mouse on every single click ever is not driving me up a lot.
Oh, and another thing with the remoting thing. If they didn't know, they watched as I did it, and every now and then there was a person that took interest and helped the other people.
That's always nice.
Don't you love
Yeah.
people that solve their own problems?
Yeah.
I work with faculty, which means that they all at a community college, which means they all have a giant ego that they really don't deserve. It's like they need to take a chill pill because they're like, all right, yes, you're a teacher, but you're at a tiny community college. Like, you don't deserve. Get rid of the like Harvard guys. Ego. I think it's even worse. It's like, they like need to continue doing the- It's
Yeah.
hilarious, but it's really sad what they do.
That was another thing. I worked for like tech support for hospitals. And the first thing they did when calling in was identify themselves. So I pretty much could see what position the person had before we initiated the conversation. And if it was a radiologist, I knew I was going to have a bad time. But if it was a receptionist, it was usually a very sweet, compliant old lady.
You know who I like talking to more than anybody are the company owners. Not the IT people, but the company owners. And one of the things that I love to drop in their lap while we're on the conversation is technical people tend to be very insecure. And I know this because I'm that way because there's so much out there. It's like an ocean. You're trying to swat back the tide with a tennis racket sometimes. And it takes one wrong click and you lose a weekend. So there's a lot of insecurity in these guys, and so if he's like pushing back, I get it, understand, but here's the deal, and I'll tell the owner in very plain language that they can understand what the deal is, and your IT guy's probably this or that, and I get it. And a lot of times I'm better off dealing with one of those people than a receptionist or, God forbid, an IT person. But if I have to deal with an IT person, I'm usually pretty good at it. I know that I'm dealing with somebody that's, facing outsourcing, and maybe they're going to lose their job if they look bad, and you never know what the factors that are contributing to their attitude might be. And I don't like having to dance around all that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're being fed a bunch of BS by their IT people too. So when they're talking to me, they'll start asking me questions, and I'm like, well, okay, this and that and whatnot, and not trying to make your guy look bad, but these are the facts.
That must be fun if the guy is an asshole.
The IT guy?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually pretty rare. At least in where I work and the kind of clients we have, most of the IT people that I deal with, maybe 90%, are actually pretty cool. And, once they get to know me a little bit, and some of these are clients that have been there